Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of VW Garage Talk Podcast, episode 14. Today we got my buddy Johnny Jalopy here who does car art, car builds, and they have a podcast, Miss Ity B and Johnny. So let's get into it. Here's Johnny.
Hey!
And Ity B.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
We're great. Thanks for having us on.
I appreciate you guys being here.
We're excited.
Heck yeah. Johnny, not only are you a VW guy, you're also a car guy. You're a hot rod car guy as well.
Yes.
What came first? How did you get into cars, and what was your first car?
Sure. What came first? Being a little kid and having my parents take me to car shows and seeing the spectacle and amazement of all varieties of different cars. And my dad, actually as a little kid, painted a funny car for me. So like immediately car stuff was already being thrown at me as a little kid. Holidays and stuff, I get Hot Wheels. I just, anything with wheels was my passion.
Yeah.
So being a car person was like in the blood. It was shared. I think my dad wanted to be more immersed in it, but he just didn't get the opportunity to do that as much because of work and those kinds of things. And then as far as what was my first car, actually I grew up in, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 56. 41. So I grew up in the mini trucking days was my high school time. And so mini trucks was the scene that I got that really was my first car cultural type immersion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a wide variety of cars. You're obviously not just Volkswagen, not just like.
I love them all.
If
I could have, I'd still like to have a motorcycle. Yeah, I would love to have one of those.
I hear you, I'm the same way. So I have
not in Florida.
Yeah. I know they're dangerous and all that, but dang, I would sure love to have one because they're just
nice. And that's the problem. Like down here, there's so many accidents. I had a couple sport bikes, a couple Harleys. There's so much traffic.
I've seen it personally. Seen accidents where people are getting choppered out. And I know for our area, unfortunately, it's not the safest. But man, it would be so cool to have one.
I know. Sure. There are still areas where you can cruise at. I mean, you know, there's old Florida where you can still go, or like Tail the Dragon up Tennessee and North Carolina.
Yeah, there's still great rideable places. As far as the culture and the automotive, the whole thing, all of it. Being from California, of course, Volkswagens were a huge thing out in California. Yeah, and they have their own specific style, the California look of VW Bugs. And I know being a VW guy, there's a specific type and styling of the way that the West Coast does it versus everybody else. And a lot of people chase that look, and a lot of it, their look, I think, is influenced by the hot rod community too. So that's what really got me to where I was like, man, it would be cool one day to have one. And then coming to Florida and getting to go to a show, Ity B and I went to our first Volkswagen show, and the people that we met and the way we were so treated were so kind and so inviting and so like, hey, what are you doing? How come you're not in this? Made us go, boy, it would be kind of cool. And I think you even said, we should probably get a Bug. Of course, you wanted a bus. And I'm like, yeah, keep dreaming. Yeah.
So it was just a hugely welcoming group of people, and everybody, like, because I'm not going to say they're super easy to work on. I've never worked on one, but I've watched people work on them. But from what I hear, they're a lot easier to work on than maybe some of the other cars. Parts are more readily available, things like that.
Yeah, it seems as far as the culture. And
I was like, that'd be easier for us to take care of.
And the backlash of it is it's a little more affordable depending upon how you do it.
Right.
Can be an affordable hobby to get into, but there also, as you know, being the VW chaser that you guys are and user, you can also go really crazy with them as well, just like the hot rod stuff. You can go nuts as far as the amount of money.
Your different parts and things of that nature. The Volkswagen engine is a very simple engine.
That's what I loved about it,
and it's which makes it easy. All the parts I keep in mind, like an extra ignition, coils, spark plugs, wires, distributor, just in case. There's not a whole lot more that can go wrong, fuel pump, things of that. Actually, tomorrow I'll come take a look at yours for the steering issue you're having.
Holy cow, man, that would be awesome because boy, oh boy, I just want to make sure I have it redone or probably service it. Who knows when the last time the thing was serviced? It might even be.
The original.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
So you said it was clicking?
Yeah. So as I make right and left turns, I felt a small click on one of the turns I made.
Okay.
And then I felt the wheel kind of move a little bit different than it had felt before. Everything's steering fine and it's tracking the way it was. There's play in the wheel. There's always been quite a bit of play in it. So, but the other day I stopped and actually took a look and got down near the steering box and moved things around, and I could hear just a clicking noise in between some spot, nowhere else in the rotation of spin.
Okay.
So it made me go, okay, which I still at that time was like, okay, let me get home real quick and make sure I get home. It doesn't just like I steer left and I'm continuing to go straight ahead. So I was a little concerned, but I want to make sure that all the connections from the box up to the steering column are good, because I didn't double check. It could be a loose bolt or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I gotta dig a smidge more, but I was like, another ear to tell me, hey, you'll probably be okay until you get it fixed. You'll be fine.
Sometimes that's all you need. Maybe the listeners can help diagnose it too. But we'll take a look at the rag joint. So you get that rag joint that that puts the columns together.
Right.
Sometimes that shreds over time, and that could do. I haven't heard anything clicking, but if there's a loose nut in there or something too. Maybe
I'd watched a video on refurbing a steering box, and one of the diagnoses was, hey, you can get a little clicking noise, but it's a worm gear. I'm going, the only way feels to me in the worm gear itself, if there was a clicking, there's either a high spot or something's getting snagged up on it, or the gear itself is snapped in two pieces, would be ultimate failure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know it would still contain itself inside the box, so it wouldn't, but it's still, so I'm of course I'm trying to imagine worst case scenarios.
And that's how we always do it. What could it be? You try to think of every option, worst case and best case scenario. But
my whole front end needs to be rebuilt anyways, but
for another day.
Yeah,
for another day, right?
Sure.
No, but let's talk about how you guys built the community around your storytelling and sketching on your podcast. And
it was kind of out of necessity. When I got an opportunity to build a couple cars on TV, it was the first time I had somebody filming me drawing, and they were like, "Hey, man, can you do some sketches and we'll film you drawing?" And for TV, you got to be able to do stuff really fast so they can do so many anyways. So I was like, well, I'm not very fast. I'm very slow. I could take hours drawing a tire sometimes. So I came back from the first time of that happening, and I'd watched a couple guys doing some videos of drawing, almost like a tutorial kind of thing. Okay. And so I tried it myself to do it by myself. And so I went live and I was drawing some stuff and people were commenting, and I was missing every single thing, questions people were asking, comments people were making. I was missing all of it. Okay. And I got done and I watched it and I'm like, this is boring. First of all, I was concentrating too much on drawing, wasn't mantering enough.
You weren't really talking.
Yeah. And also, I wasn't talking much. Yeah. So, and I'd watched a couple others and I'm like, that's the same thing I saw in other people's tutorial things. It was a little boring. And I was like, I don't want mine to be boring. Okay. So I went to my wife and I said, hey, can you do me a huge favor?
Are you busy on Monday nights?
Well, wasn't it? I picked the night. And we did our first one, and it was more along the lines of, all I need you to do is just tell me what people are saying as I'm drawing. And of course, Itty B, she wasn't Itty B at that time. It was just Beth.
I wasn't.
She would tell me what they would say, and then she'd put her own funny spin and her own comments. And the reaction of the first few videos was like, okay, there's something here more than just me drawing pictures. There's this thing between the two of us. And then people started sending us messages going, man, the thing you drew tonight was great. Boy, what that conversation that you and your wife had was hilarious. Yeah. So I was like, more of this, please. And so she was kind enough to continue to do it. We did 8.
We're in season 8 now.
So about 5, 6 seasons of just all you would see is my hand.
And you could hear us talking, but I wasn't on camera.
And I kept saying, there's so much facial expressions.
The rolling of the eyes.
Everybody is missing. That if they just saw her reaction to things I said and my reactions to things she said, I think it would amplify or make it even cooler.
So you guys have been doing it for like 7 years now, right? Is it 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 years.
This is
total.
our 8th season we're in now. Yeah.
So it was like scrambling to try to, if you go back and you watch like episodes, you can see progressively how we've got to this stage where we're like doing what we're doing now. Where it almost looks like we know what we're doing.
Like we have microphones now.
Yeah, where before it was like it was like the camera phone. Microphone.
It was so pieced together in the beginning, and there were technical difficulties every single broadcast. We still have technical difficulties sometimes.
We'd be half hour late trying to get going on a live show. People are like, "Where are you? I thought you were live." We're trying. The internet won't connect.
And that's exactly what you said, because we run into that same thing now. I was just coming on this little podcast too. Sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's not. We'll have a streaming issue. When we go live, Andrew's always reading the comments to me as well, because I can't see when I'm driving, but I'll just pause.
Yeah.
I understand. You got to have someone else there to help. But that's cool that you're able to do that, do the drawings and everything on right there, and that's really cool.
Yeah,
it is harder for him to draw if we're talking about a subject that he's immersed in.
Yeah.
Because he wants to, he stops and he wants to be focused in on the conversation. And then there are times where he's really into the drawing and he's not saying anything. And then I'm having to carry the broadcast by myself. And if people aren't talking to me, then I'm just like making stuff up. And I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's when it really gets good, because then suddenly the expert in automotive industry comes out in her, and she's like, based on a lot of the information that I know about the culture, and she'll just start. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Here we go.
Who's in submarines, and when did this happen? Yeah, that's funny.
And those live sketches are for sale, right? You do sell
always
those on your website, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. JohnnyJalopy.com.
So JohnnyJalopy.com. Right? Yeah. And so, what gives you inspiration to do the specific sketch you're going to do right then and there? How do you figure that out? Is it just natural? You're just sitting there and then.
Well, there are times where yes, something on the spot will hit me, and I'll either do no sketch and I'll just draw. There are times where I would put a little pre-thought, like when I was working, I would take my lunch break and I would just go, okay, let me think of something I can come to the table with. A huge portion of inspiration, unfortunately not with us anymore, my mom, I would have Monday calls with her, and the first answer or question she would ask me is, what are you drawing tonight? And I'd go, Mom, I don't know. And then she would say, well, what about this? And Tim thinks this. And so I'd go, hey, that's a great idea. And then that would become some inspiration, or she'd corner me and say, what are you drawing? How many nights were there where I had nothing?
We honestly do not, and we probably should, but we do not plan for Monday nights. Like you would think we would have talked about it the week prior, and we know what we're going to be talking about. We know what we're going to be drawing.
Well, we do. We have sat down many times and had discussions of like, we should plan.
We plan about planning. But so usually when we're setting up, he'll say, I got something in mind. And I'm like, well, what are we talking about? He's like, I don't know.
Just keep this
roll. Yeah.
It makes it organic, that's like what we do. We don't plan anything really. We might have a couple points, but then sometimes we don't even talk about those points. We talk about something else, or we go anywhere. And that's what it's just more, maybe just like an icebreaker or something like that,
The good part about it is that we have people tuning in. So if I see Jim Pollan pop on Hobo's Hot Rod Garage, this guy has done some great bead rolling. So we'll see him post stuff throughout the week of projects that he's working on. So then I can ask him stuff, and then he'll say,
for filler.
Yeah. He'll say something back. So I'm having a lot of times side conversations with people that have nothing to do with what he's drawing, nothing to do with what we're talking about. And then that starts a conversation. Yeah. So it's because of the years we've done this, that people know us personally, almost. Like we haven't met hardly any of these people, but I feel like we know them. We know what they're doing. We know the projects they're working on. Are they going to the track? Have they gone to car shows? Like we're seeing all that stuff, and we take note of that stuff because they're our personal friends. They're in our circle.
That's cool. Yeah.
Look at you.
Look at this. Just get the whole thing figured out here, Johnny.
That's my point. See, I could just sit over here and she could just go. Now, again, year 1, year 2, she was like, what do I even say? I'm like, well, just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine. And she found her voice. And
my ditziness has become a fan fave.
Yes, it's the best.
That's awesome. Hinge helps me with a lot of stuff to say too. Like I'm like shy in front of the camera. People just easy, just talk. Like I know the camera, it's not in front of me, and I just get used to it. But going back to the series that you were, the TV series, that probably helped a lot with the car community too, getting to meet a lot of people as well.
For sure, yeah. It helped with getting my name out there as far as recognition of at least a little street credit, I guess is what you could say.
Street creds.
When listen, especially in the automotive industry of artwork is concerned, a lot of guys draw pictures and come up with amazing designs and amazing ideas. To have that actual idea turned into a real car, or working, driving, you can sit inside of it type machine is a rarity. It is, unless it's for the people that work in the industry of designing cars, for like Ford, those kinds of. So for me to have the opportunity to have something that was in my brain, suddenly I can go and sit inside of it, was amazing. and I don't take that opportunity for granted, but it definitely gave me some street credit of where, as the designing part of it and idea guy of it, definitely gave me a leg up in the community as compared to maybe someone who's was at the same, I hate to say level, but same maybe skill set or whatever. It gave me a little bit more street credit because things were actually happening with my artwork that maybe other guys had not an opportunity, which I didn't take any of that for granted at all, or do now.
You do great. Like I said, your artwork's awesome.
Thanks,
now, where can people find that? Like, where can they find that series? What was that called?
It's Full Custom Garage is the name of the show. So unfortunately, Discovery Channel, as you probably know if you're a car guy or anybody out there who's a car guy, knows that a lot of the automotive TV shows have been kind of canceled and they're not around anymore.
Why is that? Yeah, why is that? What happened?
From what I understand, bigger cable companies purchased them and they just didn't have any interest. They bought shows that are already done, and then killed the actual channel that was doing it for money's sake. They don't have to put any more money into production or paying people or talent or any of that kind of stuff. Yet they can still own a product that people, new comers into the culture might be interested in watching, or older fans are still like, I'll watch a rerun. I don't care. This is my favorite show. Like we watch MASH.
Right.
You'll watch it 100 times. It doesn't matter. As long as it's on, I'll watch it, whatever channel it's on. Right. That kind of thing. So I think they're counting on that. But I'm sure the fans will eventually go, we need new stuff or we're not going to watch anymore. So anyways, currently not on the it was on the Discovery Channel. Actually, it started off as on a small cable company called Mav TV, was the main source. Discovery purchased the rights to 3 seasons and put it on Discovery. And then
it was Velocity.
Well, it was Velocity first, then it became, you're right. It was Motor Trend.
Oh, that's right.
It was Velocity, then became Motor Trend, and then Motor Trend purchased that from Mav TV. The 3 seasons, or from the production people, 3 seasons, put it on their channel, and then started basically allowing him to film 4 more seasons. And now, again, with them all being gone, you can still find them on HBO Max because HBO bought Motor Trend, so you can still see seasons 1, 2. I think the 3, almost all the seasons I was on
HBO Max,
on HBO Max. Full Custom Garage. Full Custom Garage is the name of it, and I think it's still streaming. You can pay for it. It's like $1 episode or something on Prime Video as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's still out there. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So for people listening, what do you currently have in your garage right now? Because you do have a little collection here. You got some hot rods and stuff like that now. So.
Yeah. We got a small little stable of silliness. So. The first vehicle that I purchased was a 1951 Styline Deluxe Chevy 4-door, and that was the vehicle that the courtship of this lady here started in.
Nice.
And we put many miles and many stories, and at that time, too bad we weren't videoing all that.
Oh my gosh.
Would have been great.
Would have been a horror story some days.
Times as we broke down and we no brakes driving all the way from Zephyr Hills one time. And so great stories in that. So then again, meeting the Volkswagen community, when we had that car, a local guy, his name is Roger, and he lived near me, and I'd see his Volksrod come through my neighborhood every day. He'd be coming back from work or something. And it was constantly a drive. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, man, I want one of those, really be cool. We could get into the Volkswagen community then, And then I followed him home one day, met him, told him, hey, I'm not here to murder you. I just think your car's really cool.
Stalker.
And he got out of the car like, what are you doing? Who are you? And so really super cool guy. Basically, he sold me a project car to build something like what he had. And that's where we started. We're like, okay, we're in it. We're going to be Volkswagen people. And then a couple years go by.
It's still sitting there.
I acquired some parts and we hadn't really moved and got on it. And then eventually had a conversation with him and he's like, why don't you just buy mine? So Ity B bought Kona. We turned into Kona for my birthday one year. And then just started getting it going and reviving it and making it my own.
Yeah.
And, trying to drive the wheels off it as much as we can. Of course, VWs as they are, I ran into this ignition problem that no matter every single time you guys were out rolling around, I'd have a problem and couldn't drive. So I'd be like, oh, I guess there's another.
We missed so many
times
things.
We've missed.
We got the Volkswagen to be a part of the community, and I feel like we
never get to go.
We were never.
We still haven't really. I think one time we rolled out with Dan once, Murder Wife, the orange bus. I think one time we might have met up with a group of that was like
You guys were out one night. We met you downtown.
Someplace.
Yeah.
It's very far and few between. It's always something. Like I said, the whole VW's on the pier yesterday.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a part of that, and I was so concerned about the steering. I was like,
No, I hear you. It's
so it's always something, man.
But I love it. Speaking of downtown, I mean, we've seen you downtown quite a few times, and we've seen you in Kona, we've seen you in Rose, but it's a lot of cool spots downtown and restaurants.
The other vehicle I have is 1930 Ford Model A, just acquired.
Tell me about Rose.
Rose is awesome. That's my dream car. So it's a 30s car is always what I've always wanted to have, a 30s hot rod. And was fortunate enough to meet a guy who's basically a Model A hunter, like you are with the buses and the things that you're doing, where he finds deals and stuff. So a good buddy of mine, Craig, helped me find Rose, and
different Craig
got him for a great price. Got him for a great price, and
something about the Craig name.
Something. They're hunters, man.
We get reward cars.
Yes. Truth. And so we acquired that, and it's just been so much fun. It's it's the slowest thing, but man, miles per mile is just off the charts.
Yeah. Now it's beautiful shape. And you've seen it cruise downtown, like wow, it's really cool seeing it, the historic downtown. The car there right next to like Richie Suncoast Theater, right? The Hacienda. I've seen you guys there too.
We had it parked at the Hacienda. We did a photo shoot.
Took some black and white photos of it in front of the historical stuff. It's so fun to do that.
That's awesome. Now, do you plan to keep it? Is your goal to have that in like stock, or do you want it?
This has been a debate.
Stock is boring.
Okay.
No, my ultimate goal for it is to be a mild custom.
Okay.
Which is looking more kind of like it's still kind of keeping some of the classic looks, but yet still having hot rod roots. So that's kind of like we're in the deciding factor of, do we hop up? Because, in the hot rod community, you could do a hopped up, basically, what guys would have done coming back from World War II that bought these 30s cars and made them mild hot rods, taking the 4-cylinder, hopping it up a little bit and running it like that, or going to maybe a little more nostalgic power plant, still keeping the looks of it lowered, good stance, or do we modern engine trans, that kind of thing. So
did you just make up the word mild custom?
No, that's a cultural term.
It's a good term.
Custom.
He's not committing fully. Yeah.
No, it's mild. Mild. The definition of a mild custom is subtle changes to the factory look, generally with stance, maybe like a shaved door handle, maybe a little bit of a change in paint job. Not a severe chop. If you were going to chop a top, it would be very, very subtle changes, not overwhelming customizations, where it still looks kind of like it did when it came off the assembly line, but you're like, there's something different about that. I don't know what.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to do like flathead, like V8 in there or something, or you want to keep it flathead? Do you want to go?
Do we want to continue going 30 miles an hour, or do we want to go the speed limit?
Yeah, it's all about the smiles per miles.
Correct.
We'd get more miles, maybe more smiles.
If I had a choice, because that's what it's really, and I know I do, but when it comes down to dollars and cents,
right?
Flathead would be amazing because there's nothing like the sound of a flathead engine. It just, it is audible perfection in my opinion. But there's also reliability and the cruise factor. I'd like to be able to take it on road trips type of thing, and I know you can do that with a flathead done right and built right. But as many people have said, you'll spend a lot of money to go really, really slow, but also you're going to spend a lot of money to keep the nostalgic portion of that older power plant. So when you can kind of do a small block Ford and maybe a little more modern transmission and still do carbureted and all those kinds of things where you'll have a little more horsepower, a little more reliability. So I'm kind of leaning more towards the reliability, but boy, oh boy, if someone handed me a flathead, I would go, yes.
It'd be tough to turn that down. See, I had a 51 two-door coupe, and it didn't have the flathead in it. It was obviously two-door, but I got access to a 350 engine, so I was going to go like the Chevy, the conversion to put all that in. I got rid of it before I did that, but in the hot rod world, what do they prefer? Like Chevy, Ford? I mean, I think it's just a small block 350 seems probably a common engine.
It depends on the type of, and that's the beauty, just like in Volkswagens, right? In the community, there's such a variety of styling or building trends. So for instance, if you're building a custom, then more than likely you're going for more the exterior looks of it. And the drivetrain is what's the most reliable you can do. Unless you're doing full customization, which is I want to be able to also open the hood, show the jewelry box, all that kind of stuff. And then you're picking eras. Then there's guys that build cars that are time specific. Like I want to build a car that would have been built in the 40s and everything needs to be period correct.
Right.
Speed parts of the 40s, engine of the 40s, all that kind of stuff. So they're very specific about that. Mostly when guys are building like a hobbyist type hot rod where they just want to build something cool and get it out on the road and be a guy driving a hot rod, they'll usually put small block Chevy, or nowadays LS is the big.
LS swaps are common,
is huge now, and that's crossing over in every genre now. You're seeing muscle car guys, import dudes pulling import motors out and putting LSs in them.
Right.
Electric cars pulling the electric out and putting LSs in it, that kind of stuff. So everybody's kind of going LS. Because it's a reliable, tried and true engine. Yeah. But you get a true Ford guy. I'm not putting anything but a Ford in a Ford. Which I'm not loyal to a specific brand. I've never been, because I've never had that luxury. But it would be cool to put a small block Ford in a Ford.
Yeah.
But again,
I agree. I wanted to do Ford, and I was going to put a 289 in there, but I just couldn't find anything. I had access to a real cheap 350 with the transmission. David McFarland actually had one in his in this motorhome he had. So I was trying to rip it out of there, and I was over there with a couple buddies. We're trying to pull this thing out of the dirt to get it out. We just couldn't do it. So I said, the heck with it. Then I wound up selling the car. I was like, that was.
I had a small block Ford because I had bought a rat rod project.
Yeah. Okay.
Before I got Raquel, I had a 41 Ford pickup truck cab with a chassis. And it had a Cadillac motor in it, but flathead Cadillac motor in it, but it was all rusted and solid. It was a paperweight. But I had acquired also in that purchase small block Ford and a trans, and unfortunately situations in my life happened and I had to leave it all when I left the house I was living in, and lost a trailer. The engines was in the trailer. I lost all that stuff. In a move, basically. So I had access to all the things I needed now. I had already bought it, but now, hindsight, whatever. But I think it comes down to the person that's building and how they want to build. I'm not a person that is going to judge based on what people decide to do with that's their deal. You know what I mean?
Right. Whatever suits them. Tell me a little bit more about Kona. So Kona obviously was your Volkswagen Volksrad. You've done a lot. You've chopped the top on that. I remember watching your videos of chopping the top. I'm like, wow, man, you're really getting into it. I'm like, how is he getting those angles and everything like that?
I did the thing that no one should ever do, which is chop a top who's never chopped a top. Someone who's didn't know how to weld, and all the factors of things that you don't do when you cut a car in half. I went ahead and did.
In the heat of summer in Florida.
In the heat of summer, I had a small amount of knowledge as far as welding was concerned. I had a vision of what it would look like chopped and what it should look like in my head. And so basically, I made the decision because that was the hard part of owning that. I loved Kona in the bug state that it was the Volksrad part. But every single time someone would ask me, "Hey, this is pretty cool. What do you think?" I would always give a nod to Roger because he built the original. It was his design, the way he had done it. And I never felt like I could take ownership that it was mine, because it was something because it wasn't mine. It was his that I purchased from him. Yeah. So that was a big factor. And I'm like, I have this idea of something I want to do. And I'd seen someone try to do a truck before, a couple of them. And I was like, I think I want to do that. I like the way little trucks look. It's a little cab and because I was thinking of, I still can't afford a 30s or 20s hot rod, like a T-bucket or a Model T truck slammed on the ground, chopped, looks so cool, or a 30s truck. So I'm like, well, I got this bug. What if I just cut it? And I think I went to you, I'm like, what do you think? And you're like, do it.
Yeah. I'm never going to say no. I'm a pretty big supporter of everything that you want to do.
Yeah, even to the point watching, you filming me
the same way.
Sawing that thing in half, which was like, well, there's no going back now.
Yeah. Now you got to figure out glass and everything like that too. It's a wild project. I mean, I credit you, but I understand your point too. When you get a vehicle, that's been altered in a way, the hot rod stuff like that, it does feel like it's not yours, like you want to do your touch, a little touch to it. And
yes,
and
I had made some visual changes to the car, and
you repainted it. You did some stuff inside, but
I think I changed the look completely from what Roger had it before. But it still was again, in the building and the way he had done it was his. So I was like, I gotta, at least this way now, all the radical changes I've done.
Yeah, it's a radical.
I mean, the only thing that's truly left of what he did is the stretch in the front, which is still the way it's stretched in the front, and it's been a great thing. And I now I'm like, and he used to own it, and that was I had shared on one of our podcasts that the when I went to Bug Jam and Roger and ended up parking next to Roger. This has been in Roger's family for such a long time.
Yeah.
In the condition it was in, I was like, oh, he's gonna kill me. I just killed a legacy. It's been in his family, and it was cool that he was like, yeah, dude, no, that's cool. I love what you did with it. So
yeah, that's funny. I was just talking to Roger today at Cars and Coffee. We had a little Cars and Coffee.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's continuing working on stuff. He's got the 61 Beetle now.
Oh, nice.
Tinkering around with so he had that at the Cars and Coffee meet.
He's always building cool stuff.
He's really cool, very helpful. We were just talking about an engine today. I always want to rebuild a Volkswagen engine, and I just am a little too nervous to do it. And he's like, come on over to my place. I got a bunch of engines. We'll take one apart, and I'll show you what tools you need. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to take you up on that because I'm never going to get out of the Volkswagen scene. So, I mean, I'm stuck. So I need to do an engine at some point in my life. So I'll take Roger up on that. Like I said, he's a really good guy and always willing to help, and which is
super knowledgeable and is definitely not a guy that's like, hey, in other places sometimes where people are like, you got to pay your dues. He's like, listen, dude, I'll help you. Yeah, he's bailed me out. I've called him. There were, when I was trying to chase down this ignition thing, I was like picking his brain every other day. And he's like, I'm like, I hope I'm not bugging you. He's like, no, dude, this is great. I'm here. If I don't know, or if I can't, he always knew. Not like he didn't know. That guy's done so many things with Volkswagens. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anything else cool in the garage? Anything else? We got, you can name quite a few vehicles.
I mean, we've got our Jeeps, which are fun. Yeah. We've got a 2001 Gladiator on 37s and lifted. Wow. EDB's got her little Jeep Wrangler that we take out most of the time because it's so much more fuel efficient with the 4-cylinder turbo in it. Yeah. And she's done some little customizations to hers to make her car, her Jeep.
I put side steps on it so I can get up in it easier. That way.
You put some stickers on it.
I have some side steps.
Stickers. Yeah.
Personalized stickers on it.
And I went with the military theme.
You did. Okay. It was a good choice for the color that you chose.
Yeah,
very cool.
It's fun.
That's good. Isn't it nice having a car with AC?
It is.
And then we drop the top down.
Especially now. Yeah, we're at the show.
I like flipping the top down. See, his is a hard top, so we have to lift it off, and it's a whole project. Mine is just unclip it, throw it back, we're good. So. Yeah. I love it.
It's a fun time.
Even at the show yesterday, it was hot. It was beautiful scenery there in St. Pete at the pier. But man, it's coming.
It's hot
now. God, man, we're in May. And it's I think the real deal was 103. It was only 90. I think 90 something, but low 90s. But real feel was 103. It's like, dang, it's getting hot.
Yeah, we did yard work yesterday, so
you guys,
we felt it.
We were thinking of you guys that were like, dang, it's cool to be at that pier though. It looked like it was a good turnout.
Yes, and you got to get it done when you can. What about, so going back to the shows, we went to the show yesterday. What are your favorite shows? Whether it's Volkswagen show or any car show. Because I know you've done Turkey Rod Run, and what shows are your favorite?
Of the local shows, unfortunately, we've missed so many of them, and we plan to make a lot more now that we've got some time. But of like Bug Jam is amazing. That's a great VW show. We like of a local show. Turkey Rod Run is. I went to it on the Thanksgiving one. Not Thanksgiving. Sorry, no.
Yeah, it was.
Was it Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main one. And it was a little different this year than it's been in the past. So that was kind of, I don't know, economy wise, maybe that was a little bit of a reason why it seemed less people and less stuff there. Because I was looking for specific parts. Finally, I had a place to go get some things, but there wasn't anything there.
Yeah.
But as far as shows that we've attended, like in the hot rod community, we've been fortunate enough. We got invited to Autorama, which was a bucket list show for me. In dreams as a hot guy coming up in the hot rod scene of where the Riddler Award is handed out, and all the best of the best car builders and designers. That's where they go and they show their best, and they're going for this major prize. And so we were fortunate enough one time with one of our fans got invited, basically said, "Hey, come to the show. We'll get you in. We'll get you a spot. You can set up a table." And then we didn't know when we went there. There was like two. I knew there was I'd heard of the basement, that there were two levels. Like there was the underground scene, and then there's the above ground, in the top area where all the high end stuff is. And this person was like, "Yeah, I can get you down below." And we went there, and it was amazing. Yeah. It was the most amazing show we'd been to.
As a vendor, amazing. It was cool. And as an attendee, really, because we walked it.
Yeah.
And it's just such a phenomenal show.
And what's cool about it is it's every type of automotive. So there was Volkswagen stuff, there was import stuff, there was drag stuff, there was, muscle car stuff, there was high-end hot rods, and then you go into the basement, and that's basically where all kind of the lowbrowish, guys are really, and gals that are really more immersed in the cultural part of it.
Yeah.
There was bands down there,
rockabilly bands, pinup girls. It was
people. It was awesome. T-shirts and choppers and rat rods and hot rods, and just it was amazing. And the people down there were just so cool to us and treated us so good.
That's awesome.
And then of course the capper of all of it is we got to share a booth with a legend, and now that guy has become friends of ours and almost like a brother to us, and which is I'm sure you've heard, everybody knows Big Daddy Roth, the designer and creator of the Ratfink. His son, Little Daddy Roth, was in the same booth with us, and we got to meet him and became super great friends with him, and we've gone 3 years now.
3 years. Wow. He's been to the house. He's
come over to visit and stayed.
Oh.
It's been amazing. Yeah. So we just unbelievable to the people that we've met.
I got to meet Barry McGuire.
We've
from McGuire's. Yeah, I'm sure you've used the products. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm in the garage right now.
Gene Winfield, got to meet him before he passed.
Yep.
So that was legendary as well. I mean, and these are people that I had no clue who these people were until getting with Johnny here and
then even into the motorcycle community. Itty B met Ron Finch, which is a legendary chopper motorcycle designer and builder. She's talking to the gentleman, and she's like, "Oh my God," he brought some art little pieces that he made. And she started talking. They became, because he came to our booth and we're getting to know him. And I'm like, "You have no idea who you just
met.
You just
he loves me."
And
awesome.
And then the best part of the story is she goes, "I really love this one piece that you made."
He had posted some pieces on his website before Autorama,
and I'm like, "I was the guy that builds stuff."
I was like, "I want this piece." So I was talking to him in the booth when we finally got there. And I'm like, "Do you still have that piece, that heart piece in red?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I've got it." He's like, "You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Do you even know how much this thing is going to cost us?" It was day one of the show. We hadn't made a cent yet. We hadn't sold one thing, and we were already, a couple $100 in the hole.
The legend. I'm going, this thing's gonna be like $3,000 or something. And she just already said she'd take it, and so he's like, "I'll bring you one tomorrow."
Over.
He made a special one specifically for her.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Which was cool. And
brought it over, signed it. I got a picture with him. Yeah. Super nice.
But I'm like, again, you have no idea. So then I had to show her pictures of like old Chopper magazines and stuff like this. This is the guy.
That's amazing. So speaking
crazy.
of vending, do you vend only at specific shows? Like I know Turkey Rod Run. Are there other shows you do? And what do you vend at the shows?
So we mostly at this Autorama has been the one that we've done the most of. Really strictly going to vend at. We were invited to a lowbrow art show for the last 2 years.
Last year and this year.
Yeah, and this year. Yeah. Where we were going to vend at that, where it's basically bring your art, and it's mostly an art show, not a car show, which is cool. We did do Turkey Rod Run years ago and tried to do it. Was a very kind of clunky for us, and then come to find out basically because the rules were, they don't let you sell t-shirts and different stuff. They only sell like their stuff. So there's a lot of rules. So we didn't know that. So we got stuck in the craft section one year, and then another year we got stuck in like the swap meet area. And it was still fun because we were there, because who cares? We just wanted to go to the car show at night. And so we did that, and we've done a couple little local things, very small, for like charity type stuff. But we haven't hit it
years ago. Yeah. When he first got started doing the art, I mean, it had to have been maybe 2009, 2010, probably 2009. Yeah. So it was right after we got the car. We had been a part of the Christian Hot Rod Association, and they were doing a show every Saturday night, and I think they still do, at the Americana 50s Diner on US 19 and Alternate 19.
Yeah,
that area. So they had invited us, and we were doing that every Saturday night, and that's how Johnny really started getting some of his commission jobs, because people knew that he was an artist. We weren't vending at that show, but people would be like, "Hey, could you draw my car?" So that's how that really got started. We have vended at Quaker Steak before. I think we did something at Biff before they closed down. So we would bring our stuff to local Checkers. We had done the Checkers show in Palm Harbor.
But back then, we didn't really have anything.
We didn't have much to bring. Now when we go, we have T-shirts. We have a lot of original pieces go. We have some prints that we can bring, but those are hit and miss. Really, it's the original stuff that we want to try and sell, because he's drawn some of that stuff on the spot.
But in the vending part, it's been a while since we've done like anything local, even trying to vend.
We haven't had the time. So
because most of the time I was having to work every weekend. There's a show.
No, I understand.
That's now we're available.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, hopefully you can invest more time. That's like Ange and I doing our adventures and stuff like that. The podcast. We're just trying to spend more time in it and share it. Maybe get the word out there. That's what it's all about. And I think you're going to do well.
Thanks, man.
Even better. Yeah, it can only grow. It can only get better.
Yeah.
That's what we're working towards, is continuing to grow an audience and the following and stuff like that. And
what's your most memorable, let's say your most memorable car art that you commissioned? Is there one specifically that stands out for you?
Well, it'd have to be the first car that gets built on TV is the one that stands out the biggest. I drew that vehicle. It had been swarming around the internet
couple of years,
for quite a few years. And when I drew it, actually, a lot of people laughed at the idea, which was, basically taking a Volkswagen and a hot rod and kind of combining the two looks together. And my thought was that this could be such a cool thing if someone could build it. But I wasn't even thinking of it ever being built in real life. So when you get the call from a guy that, a builder that you had followed and are a fan of, and says, "Hey, I think I'm going to build something like this," was the plan at first. It's supposed to be an idea of them building something for a client on a television show. Mm-hmm. But for it to actually be, for him to get so excited about, no, I'm building this exact thing, and then to watch it unfold, and then to get phone calls like on the weekly of like, what do you think of this? And this is what I'm going to do. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think the stance is right? Is the rake right? Like being involved in it on the backside of it that you didn't really get to see on TV of the first portion of it, and being involved in it was awesome. And then to get invited to come, literally, that blew my mind, to open a door, to look at something that was inside my brain, and then actually open a door and sit inside of it, looking through a windshield into an engine and go, I'm sitting in my idea.
Not too much, but you had a hand in building it as well.
A little bit. I was involved in a little bit of that part, just like putting a window in for 6.5 hours while everybody else was doing it.
Just 6.5. That's what I was going to ask you. If there's anything that's ever come to life, and that's really cool that you got to actually experience that. He invited you over there, and you got to sit in it. That's really special.
And then that happened 3 more times where an idea of mine got turned into a real vehicle. So
same show.
So there's 3 vehicles for sure that were concepts in my brain that have been turned into rolling art. Then I got invited back for a collaboration where we basically didn't draw anything and we collaborated on building a car together. Ideas just back and forth because we had become friends by that point. Right. Actually, as soon as the first trip me going to California to film the TV show, I became friends with the producer and Ian Rousseau, the host, and we just hit it off, and it was friendship, boom, and then awesome. It was collaboration after collaboration after collaboration. So I feel very fortunate that I got that opportunity. But that's the thing, that first vehicle was the one that for a guy who draws cars to see something you drew in real life awesome. Sitting in front of you and people geeking out about it. Like, it was really cool. The first time the public got to see it was at the Pomona swap meet in California, which is a huge, I'm sure you know about it. Oh, yeah. It's a giant swap. It's its own event itself. It's so big and amazing. If you're anybody out there who ever gets an opportunity to go to the Pomona swap meet, go. It is so cool. Yeah. And there's parts of every kind of part, but an amazing car show, an amazing sales crowd. Anyways, for it to debut at that show and see the reactions of other people looking at it and going, this is crazy, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, was awesome. It just reevaluated, like, hey man, you make good decisions on ideas.
So you got a talent.
Yeah,
but that's awesome. Going back to the drawings now with AI coming in effect now, what's your take on AI with car? I mean, I know you can get more specific with drawing things out versus maybe AI.
So AI, my opinion of AI is it's an interesting tool. It is going to, because I've already seen it happening for instance of show flyers, event stuff, merchandise, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where those kind of people would usually go to an artist and pay that person money for their creativity to create something original and awesome for them. And they'd pay for it though, because it wasn't cheap. Event people can now just type in AI an idea they have for a flyer, and it'll create artwork, not the same, but it'll create a flyer with a car on it and a thing, and it says this. Okay. Yeah. I've already noticed in the course of this last year, especially, I've been paying attention. AI has a flaw, which is it draws and creates in one style.
Okay.
You can see AI when it generates an idea, regardless of whether it's a banana, a hot rod, a skyscraper, it's always done in the same look and feel. It has where artists, between how I draw, how someone else draws, there's a style difference. Even though there may be some similarities, but you can tell when somebody's copying, and you can also see, that's the beauty of it too.
Yeah,
you can see when someone's copying, taking inspiration from somebody else, but has their own style as well. Where AI is, I've seen the flaws in it, but I understand the purpose of it. So, am I a fan? I'm not a fan in the regards of, like, I'm not scared like it's going to take things away, because at the end of the day, eventually someone's going to go, this all looks the same.
Right.
And what a boring world that'll be.
Right.
Where everything is the same. That's why you drive the kind of vehicles you drive that someone else doesn't drive, because you're like, I like this stuff. This makes me different. And you like the differences in that. Otherwise, we'd all be driving Teslas. Every one of us would be.
Exactly.
Right?
I know that might happen in the future if they're going to get rid of all gas vehicles. So we'll see.
Sure. But I mean, even looking in the designing of those things, they're so cookie cutter.
Exactly.
This is why you and I drive the cars that we drive.
Right.
The nostalgic part is part of it. The feel of it is part of it. The smell of it is part of it. All those things, right?
Yeah, right.
But when it really comes down to it, a Volkswagen bus or a Bug doesn't look like any other car that's out there.
Correct.
And then you put the subtle differences in someone's personality that they put into their own car, makes it even more different.
The semi-custom look.
Right. That's what changes it. But as we've evolved and we evolve, if we continue to roll down the same road, AI has its limits, which is there's a creativity factor that that's not evolving. It knows how to do it this way, and the end result is the end result.
Yeah, that's
I don't see it gaining any passion. I don't see it trying to increase its skill set, or how can I make this even cooler? It just goes, you wanted a dog, here is dog.
Yeah, that's it. It's that only dog. It's a poodle. Right. That's it. That's the only one.
But I get, as far as a tool and things, totally get it. There's I've dabbled a little bit just to see what it would do. Like the other day, I was trying to figure out what would it look like if a gorilla was driving this specific hot rod, and I knew it was going to draw the same hot rod I've seen a million times. Yeah. So I just for fun popped into Facebook because it's got that AI generator thing now you can do, and I said, show me a picture of a monkey holding a banana in a hot rod, and they were horrible, and I threw it away.
Yeah. And I don't think that there's any fear in your business going down or anything as a result of it. I think you'll still have a career because people want to work with you because of who you are and your talent.
That's
just the finished products, but because of who you are.
That's a part where I think that we try to do with our show is that we're trying to bank on the fact that you'll come to me to do your artwork, not just because you like my style of art, but you go, they're personable people and I want to work with them.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you said you're good people. Now, going to that, do you guys commission anything for like car shows or events like that? Do you guys do commissions for certain things like
I've
that?
actually done recently, over 3 or 4 Christmases, I worked for Good Guys and did Christmas work for them. I've been doing the last 2 years. There's a Rockabilly, the Starbird car show that's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. They have a rockabilly
Billy Bash.
Billy Bash. Yes, Billy Bash.
Nice.
And I've been doing the T-shirt and flyer artwork for that, so that's been cool. I've got to work for a couple different other shows. I've done a couple Volkswagen things, which is really neat. Not as many as I would like to. I wish there was more. I was fortunate that these folks, the Posies.
Yep.
Bus, they had me do some commission work for them. They had an ice cream thing, I think, as well, and they had me do some work for them on that. So I was super fortunate that I got to work with them. So it's been great working with local people. But yeah, I'm always available for commissions for people. You guys the timing was horribly bad, had come to me and said, "Hey, would you mind maybe doing some ideas?" And logo? And I was like, "Damn it!" So that fell apart. But hopefully we'll get an opportunity to do that in the future.
We'll do something.
Yeah,
we're going to come up with some ideas, and we'll definitely keep you posted. We'll have you make something for us.
Yeah, but it's stuff like that that has been coming. And the hard part before this little transition that happened over the course of the last week, time was very hard to do. But we're in a new spot now at Johnny Jalopy Hot Rod Art, and we've got time, and we're taking jobs. So if you're out there and you want your car drawn, hit me up. If you got a show you need promoted, hit me up.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone listening, like I said, the great art, and like I said, JohnnyJalopy.com. You go and I'll have all your websites here. Have you ever heard of Built Proof? Was that in Ocala?
Yes.
So
that was another show we did.
We've done that show for 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, that's pre-65, right?
Yes, actually. 65.
And we did Groundhog Gala as well in Sanford.
In the early days. Yeah.
Okay.
All those shows are still going on. And again, what it boiled down to is with my previous job, it felt every single, it would, no matter what, every single time there was one of the bigger shows coming up, I was always
couldn't get off work,
or if I had thought about taking time off, the people because I had people that I worked with that would also request time off, and they'd always be requesting the time at these shows that I wanted to go to. So I'd always say, I guess I got to work because they already got them for me 2 years ago.
Jeez.
So because this is a full-time gig now for him, these shows are considered work. So
yes.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for Johnny Jalopy? What do you see happening here future? And Ity B, what do you guys see?
Well, I think we're going to continue doing the show on Monday nights. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we did expand over to YouTube, and we were strictly YouTube for the last couple months. And I said, you know what, we need to go back to Facebook. We lost some viewers because we had a great following on Facebook, and a lot of those people didn't make the move over to YouTube. So we are streaming on both platforms again. We're hoping to grow that presence on YouTube still. We're doing a lot more shorts and a lot more reels and trying to create some content for that. And with him maybe taking on some additional projects, I think he'll be able to video some stuff and get that up too. I think one of the things that you want to focus on was doing some more metal work. So there'll probably be some fabrication stuff. Kona's not near complete. So we still have some stuff to do on her. And then just creating metal art that maybe we can sell. That may be another area of things that we can sell.
Yeah, we're definitely I'm trying to expand, which is something I've always been working on as an artist, is to not be pigeonholed into one style of art or type of art, which is why in the early days of me kind of learning how to draw and do things professionally, I guess if you want to start, I started off actually airbrush was my mainstay, and then went into digital art when everybody was against digital art, and then I've dabbled back and forth between digital art, ink and pen, pencil drawing, painting, acrylic, oils, watercolors. I'd like to get into some more learning more graffiti type, mural type artwork, metal fabrication, and building of art, that kind of stuff, creating art out of metal and things. So for me, I definitely don't want to pigeonhole myself into one type or style of creation or being able to share that kind of stuff. So that's something that we're definitely working on this year, or as we roll into the next year, is expanding the amount of areas in which are open to creation and filming that and bringing people along with us in the journey of doing and learning all that stuff.
Now that we have the time.
Yeah.
Now that he has the time. I still work.
Thank God. We're still working on the table.
That's right.
Yeah. That's cool though. I'm excited to see what the future is going to hold, and I wish you luck, and I'm sure you're going to do great on there.
I appreciate that.
Are the podcasts streaming on Spotify? And
no, we haven't, and we've thought about. So it started off. Sketchy Live was just strictly me drawing and us banter back and forth. And the more and more I became a fan of podcasting and listening to podcasts and people just talking about specific subjects, I went to Ity B and I said, hey, I think because the pressures of coming up with a new idea every single Monday
to draw. Yeah.
Holy cow. You start, especially when you get into brain fog or art block, it was starting to become tedious. Yeah. So I said to her, hey, what if we start supplementing some of the drawing nights with, on Mondays, we'll do a podcast, which is we'll pick a subject and we'll talk about it. And fortunately, Ity B's been kind enough to say, yeah, okay, let's try that. I don't know what I can incorporate into it because my knowledge of some things aren't great. I said, but yeah, that's the beauty of the podcast, is that we can talk about things that you might not know about, and we can have a conversation, even though it's like me kind of sharing with you what it is, but your maybe lack of knowledge in a said area might be someone else's lack of knowledge that will watch, and they'll be interested and feel like, oh, I'm not alone in this. I didn't know what mild custom meant. You know what I mean? Or that kind of stuff.
I thought you meant it.
Yeah.
So we just started doing that and picking ideas, and the response was really cool. In fact, viewership on some of those went up. But then, you still get those tried and true people like, oh, we want to see you draw. So then we've tried even doing where I'm drawing and we're talking. So we're trying to still find the perfect balance of what and how we do it. But one thing that we have found, for us at least, this has been the hard part. We are so accustomed to going live.
We go live.
That we're like, I'm afraid, like, I don't know. I don't really, maybe it's laziness. I don't want to edit.
And I give you all the credit to go live. Like me, I squirrel off too much and I forget something. I hope to get to the point like you got to, where you can actually do it live.
It's a challenge. Yeah. So what I'll tell you, here's the beauty, and I'm sure you're experiencing this in the few times that you've done it. There's beauty in that too, which is we end up going off on conversations that we didn't plan on that become like
really good topics,
recording gold.
Yeah.
That were people like, oh my God, you know what? Like we were talking about, like, for instance, we were talking about cruising and stuff this last podcast. And we started talking about one of our friends who's this custom car builder guy who has been doing this since he was a teenager. And it just went off into this really cool rant or sharing of us in the culture trying to chase what that guy's been doing his whole life. We've, as the guys trying to make hot rods and build hot rods and do things, are chasing all those guys that came before us. The guys back in the early 70s and 60s that were doing the first time someone took a stock VW and changed the way it looked And people went, why would you do that to a Volkswagen? we're now, as we've watched and we've got magazines and old pictures to go through and get inspiration from, we're able to now, we're chasing what that felt like to be that first guy. And we're all trying to figure out how to do that. Right. And that was just happened because we were talking about a specific subject, and it was awesome. So I would encourage you.
Don't be afraid of the side conversations.
I totally get like there's times we've like a week ago we had our buddy Art come over as a guest, and we were pre-talking. Yeah. And we just started talking. I'm like, everybody needs to shut up. This
save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
We're wasting content.
Yeah, we got to put this on. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, we are too, having people on like you just to get people to be able to tell their story. I mean, that's been our thing from the beginning. So we have had more guests on, and we plan to have more guests on as well to be able to do that.
So kudos to you to recognize that that's a great format to bring in, and it takes all the pressure off of you, especially if you can get somebody like us who won't shut up.
That's good. I like it.
Cuts you off.
Yeah. Talks over you.
Yeah, that's good. That's how it should be. Everyone's communicating. You got something to say. Because it'd be boring if we were just sitting there like, Right. So I agree. And another thing too, like just exactly like you said, the husband-wife team, like she doesn't know maybe something, and then you brought up the mild custom. Like I think with you two both on there talking about car stuff, another guy with his girlfriend, maybe he wants her to get into the car scene. He sees you two interacting, and then she maybe feels like she could be comfortable in there.
Sure.
Welcome,
I feel like I bring a layperson's view to the entire thing. I really do. I'm not intimidated because if I don't know something, I'm not too proud to say I don't know.
That's my favorite part about you is you've always been able to laugh at something that you don't know about it. And that's the part I think, like you said, people will enjoy that part. And that's why.
Right.
But they also like the banter of the.
Yeah, that's.
He gets so mad at me sometimes. He's like, we just talked about this. Just shut it up.
Shut up.
Have a pop.
Yeah, Angie's like, I like the banter when you're interactive. If they're in videos, like the banters, which is awesome because it shows you more interactive. It's true, and it's people feel more of a connection. Like, oh, they're real people.
Well, it's like we told you before the starting when you're like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? We're like, we're an open book. Let them rip.
People know everything.
They're blue.
It's
you
relatable.
have. You've definitely. I've watched the progression of your brew dub thing. It was just static pictures of the car and things, and then when you started getting into videos and showing, which is my ultimate favorite thing. I love watching cars in motion. I don't even care whether there's music playing, just seeing a car rolling down the road and interact. And then if there's a bunch of cars rolling down the road, oh, it's the best. Anyways, so that's my favorite. When you guys go and you film and you could see like over the shoulder of your bug and then the line of Volkswagens behind you, it's my most favorite thing. I love it. I could watch those for hours, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that enjoys that, which is why your stuff's growing. I wish you guys all the best.
Thank
you. You've done a great job. Both of you are personable people and have been sharing stuff, which is cool. And I can't wait to see realistically kind of doing the same thing, which is I think there needs to be more automotive couples showing that you can show a passion in the automotive thing, but there is separation. Like she's not nuts like I am about it, but she's been willing to learn and be a part of it for so long. You'll go to a swap meet with me and look through stupid parts for 2 hours sweating.
Only if you buy me kettle corn.
If I get her kettle corn,
lemonade.
But it's the same thing. I'm like, let's go.
Check it out.
Whatever you want to do.
And sometimes the biggest thing that I could ever do for him is just give him his space to do what he needs to do. I'm not out there hounding him if he's in the garage. I'll bring him a glass of water. I'm not hounding him if he's sitting at his art desk for hours on end. You got to give your guy or your gal space to be who they are. So that's been the biggest thing.
I've said it before and I say it again. You're the linchpin of the whole thing.
Keep saying it.
That's like Angie too. Like she wasn't really a car person, but I mean, she supports my habits and stuff. They're not always the greatest habits. All these cars.
Not all habits.
She's been fantastic behind the camera with the editing. The little posts you guys make, super entertaining. She's done a fantastic job.
And I hopefully she remembers. I told her to her face that I thought what she'd been creating and stuff was super cool. And please keep doing it because it's. There are moments where it's like, oh, I need a little fix, and all I gotta do is go to your channel, And sure enough, there's always a video of your car rolling out and you guys going and being somewhere that I go, oh, I want to go.
No,
we never get to go.
We're at a distance. We're so close now. I mean, like I said, we're so close.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Like, someone's always going. I mean, Ange and I combine, like you guys too. Like Ange and I combine. Ange likes doing storytelling, taking pictures, videos, and then mine with cars. We kind of combine those, and then here's what we got. We enjoy listening to your stuff too. Your podcast is fun too.
I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And it's just like you said, husband and wife team. I think that's what's bringing people together. We can do that too.
We both know as car guys, it's hard to find. Sometimes it's really hard to find a selfless person that will go, I'm going to support your passions and your dreams, and be like, hey, okay, I'll be a part of it.
Right.
And that was when we first started. She's like, I don't know how far I'm going to go. Don't expect me to be dressed up like a pinup girl. And I'm like, listen, just come with me. I don't care what you're wearing. Just come and just walk with me and be a part of it. That's all I want. Yeah. And then when she started learning and asking questions, and we were sharing, and there were moments now happening with something that I was passionate about, and then watching her learn, that was the most exciting part, is the knowledge that she's gained in such a short period of time of now, especially not just car stuff, but like the cultural differences and things and varieties,
people's names and what they brought to the table.
So it's been awesome. So as a car guy, you know how valuable it is to find your other part, someone who's willing.
And,
that's why it's.
And Itty B, and she likes the cars too. I mean, you get to the point like you get involved in. I actually like those.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure maybe you might want to go to some shows, or you have fun now going to some of the events. And,
what are your dream cars? She's got her
49 Merc, 49 Merc, and any type of 60s truck, square body,
C10s, F-150. Volkswagen wise, still more the buses.
I like the bus. Yeah.
Likes the bus. Now specifically, split window, bay window.
I don't care.
She doesn't care.
I don't care about the windows.
Okay,
she just likes the idea that there's all that room.
I like all the room
and maybe camping possibilities and all, and picnicking and all the
utilization.
Cool
that's the practicality, because I'm a Beetle guy, and getting the bus. I mean, I like the bus, but I tell you, man, the bus is so practical, like camping, and like you just get your grocery, your lodging, your transportation. You got a cooler, just throw everything in the cooler. We fly out there, we're paying for our flights, and that's our hotel, everything. And we just come back, which is nice. What
a neat way to spend time versus going to a bed and breakfast, or you're like, let's go road trip it.
Yeah.
And we'll do stuff. And now that you're capturing it and sharing it with people too, it advances the community, advances the culture. Right. It gets more people excited about the possibilities of doing and showing how you can share this time spent with the people that you care about. Exactly. And it can be awesome. So high five to you guys that you're continuing to share what you're sharing and grow the culture as well on your end. So high five to you guys.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, and that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to share that. And it's really cool because we'll get people email us like, oh man, that's so much fun. I'm getting this bus too, or I just got one, and we're going to plan to do the same thing. And it's nice to see people motivated to do something like that. We go to parks too. There's times that we've just parked off and just slept there, and
that's awesome.
The bus, I mean, it's so late because we're not really planning on staying anywhere specific. Like a park, and it's all about the adventure.
Those are awesome memories that if you decided to take that same time and go to Disney World, you'd be like, what did we do?
What happened again? Right?
You're like, hey, do you remember when we went? Even just the camping part of it, we've got camping stories that are like, now they're drilled
ingrained
because they were just what happened. It was how did we laugh that off? Just so much fun stuff. But and then too would make an adventure of something that you're passionate about too.
Right.
The combo of that. So fun.
And I learned pretty early on, if you're going to have an older car, there's going to be adventure involved in some way, shape, or form.
There might be a morgue going up, right?
A 2-mile walk.
A 2-mile walk in high heels that you shouldn't have been wearing, and then a walk back, and then me dropping tools inside of a motor. That was one of our we might have to revisit that story.
That was a
Tell
good
a Raquel story as she's getting ready to go.
No, that'd be cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
We could do this all day.
I know. It's so easy. Like I said, the conversation is so easy.
Yeah.
I'll be over tomorrow. Like I said, we'll take a look at the Beetle.
Listen, if you can't, if you have time sometime in the weeks coming, just another person taking a look at. I would appreciate it. You live close by. I can drive it over to your place, and if you wouldn't mind taking a look at it that way too. sometime during this week.
You're close. I'll come by tomorrow. Johnny, as far as your social media, place where we can purchase artwork, apparel, shirts, where can we find stuff like that?
The easiest place to find me if you want to just follow me and watch creation is all the social medias. It's Johnny Jalopy on Facebook. It's Johnny Jalopy Hot Rod Art on Facebook. Johnny Jalopy on Instagram. And there is a Johnny Jalopy Hot Rod Art on Instagram. Both of those are affiliated with me. And then there's johnnyjalopy.com.
All the links are on johnnyjalopy.com.
That's the easiest place to find us. You can have access to our YouTube channel. Old episodes of Sketchy Live, which is really cool, are linked on those. You have access to prints, original art, and hats, t-shirts, stickers, all the cool stuff. And then, of course, again, if you're interested in having your vehicle drawn and commissioned, or you have a business that you want some artwork done with some hot rod flair to it, hit us up, johnnyjalopy.com. Perfect. And of course, there's Ity B merch if you're a fan of Ity B.
Ity B and Johnny Jalopy. It's a whole team, so it's
team effort.
Cool. It's team effort. That's what makes this happen. But thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with me and just share your passion and share what you do and just reunite with the community. That's what it's all about. And friends hanging out, chatting, and talking about cars. I mean,
super fun. Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for us, and we are big fans of the Brew Dub.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. We're looking forward to the future of both of our pages here, and kind of go from there.
And spending some more time with you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you to our listeners. We'll see you guys. Have a good night, guys. Peace.
Bye, guys.
See ya.